Okay guys, welcome back, and now it's time to make some magic happen. What we're going to be doing is we're going to be going off to Vuforia's website. We're going to create an account which is free and get our free license key. We're then going to download the software and import that into our Unity project, and we're going to create our first augmented reality experience. Now, up in the top left hand corner of this video, there's a blue button that says resources available. So what I need you to do is click on that button now, and as the side panel slides in, you can see a link to two files that I've attached to this video. One is the stones image and the second one is some wood chips. Now I want you to download those two files, and then about here on the screen there's a white X in the black area of the video, and you can click that X and it will slide the side panel back out again, so you've got full screen video again. Now once you've downloaded those two graphics, you're ready to proceed. So just pause the video now for a second and let's get going. So off we go into Google, and we're going to go to Vuforia's website. Here we go. The link that I want you to click on is this one here that says Vuforia Augmented Reality. Now, this will take us through to Vuforia's new website. It's just recently had a few updates done to it, which is one of the reasons why this video was re-recorded again. But Vuforia is fantastic software. It has the ability to recognize image targets which you upload to their website, and then the software knows what to look for and creates this AR experience. The software also has the ability to detect 3D models within the real world, such as the motorbike on the screen now, and superimpose text and whatever other animations or effects that you want to project into the real world. And loads and loads of other things. I'll let you have a look through the features in your own time and have a look at some of the case studies. Some people have really done some creative things with it. Now what I want us to do today is click this button that says Dev Portal, which will take us through to the developer portal. And we're going to go to this tab in a second, but first we need to log in or register. So if you don't already have an account, you just simply register the same way as you normally do on a website, and go down to the bottom, agree to the terms and create the account. Now that will send you an email that you then need to verify your account and you're ready to go. So I'll wait for a second again, pause the video and go and register and come back. Okay, hopefully that's done. Now I'm on the login screen, which is in the corner, and like I said, I already have an account with Vuforia. I've got a couple of accounts actually, and I'm going to log in. This will take me straight through to my develop tab, and it asks me about it takes me straight to my license managers, and it's going to ask me to create a new license for the new application that we're developing now. So there are two different types of licenses that you can have. The free one is a developer type. You can actually have three different types of licenses, but I'm referring to free or paid for. And the one that we're going to be using is a development key. The license, when you're actually building an app, playing around with something and doing it for your own personal use, you can download the software and get a free application key. If you wanted to sell your app afterwards and use it for commercial benefit, then they do have different pricing tiers where you can pay annually or pay monthly for the software to work on your app. Now what we want to do is click this button here that says development key, because we're going to need it for the software. So in we go. And I'm going to name mine AR app. AR_app, there we go. And you can see that it's a development license that I'm going for, and I'm going to tick the box and confirm I want to create the key. Now what that's done is it's generated an online database in Vuforia, and an online project in Vuforia, sorry. Now if I click on that project, it will then give me the license key that's unique for the software. So you guys will have something different, but they're free anyway, so there's no point in copying this one. just grab your own from the website and copy it to your clipboard. So we're going to use it again in a second. Now once that's copied, I want you to go across to this tab here that says Target Manager. Now the way that Vuforia works is by activating the camera on your laptop, mobile phone or tablet device and then superimposing a 3D model onto the real world that you're seeing through the camera. Now to do that, they have their own version of the camera which replaces the one inside Unity, and it has a couple of scripts attached to it to trigger the camera on the phone, and instead of using the background in the scene, it will use the background of your real world that you can see through your phone. Now when this camera is activated, it scans the world and looks for image targets. Now we need to tell Vuforia what to look for, and that's what this section's for. Now the two files that were attached to the video are what we're going to use as identifiable targets so that the camera knows to scan for these two images, and if it finds one, then to superimpose our model on top of that target. That will then create this effect that you've seen on things like Pokemon Go, for example, where we can blur the lines between what's real and what's virtual. Now, the way to do this is to create a database online for us to then download into the software. That means that our app will have our own custom image targets to scan for in the real world. So I want you to click Add Database, and I'm going to call mine AR game, for example. You can leave the type as device for now, as we're not going to be downloading anything from the cloud, and we're not going to be using what are known as view marks. These are very similar to QR codes if you've ever seen one of those. Anyway, let's create our own database, which will be empty. And here we go, we've got a new database. It says that it doesn't have any targets, but we're about to change that. So if we click on the database, we can now add our targets. So these are the two graphics that we're going to be using in our app, which will trigger off the AR experience. Now we're going to be using images, and if I browse, we can see the two files that were downloaded. So I'm going to first choose the stones. Now the width is the amount of grid units that I want to use for the image target inside my Unity scene. Now if you remember earlier on when we used the 3D cube, that was one grid unit in size. It filled up one square on the grid. Now that's a little bit small for what we want to do, but we don't want it to be huge either. So a nice number, what I found, is either 4 or 6. It's up to you guys. Just don't make it higher than 10. Sometimes it's a little bit problematic for the app to run correctly from personal experience. Anyway, I'm going to add this target, and then what we're going to do is repeat the exact same process, and we're going to add the wood chips target straight afterwards. So 1 second. A little bit slow today based on about 10 devices connected to the same router. Here we go. And now I'm going to add my second target, which is the chips graphic. Make it the same width and add that second image. Now, what Vuforia is doing is it's uploading the graphic, but it then scans the graphic and it will give us a star rating based on how identifiable that will be to the software. Now, I made sure that we're using two graphics that are very identifiable to the software. Now, if we click on the stones, you can see it has a 5-star rating. I'll show you how Vuforia works this out. Here's our graphic that was uploaded. Now, down at the bottom, you can click Show Features. Now, based on the contrast and the different colors and the detail of this image, Vuforia has decided to place markers all over our image. That means that when the camera activates inside Unity, if it sees this graphic and recognizes these patterns, it knows that that's the target that we're wanting to use, and our 3D model will appear on top of this surface. Okay, so now we know that that's good to go. Let's go back to the AR game, and you can see that the chips image also has a 5-star rating, so they're both perfectly fine to use. What I want to do is click here, and I want to download this database because we're going to load it inside our app so that our app has this information and knows that they're the targets to look for. So let's download the app. I want to download it for Unity Editor. Okay, here we go. So we're needing the database, and it's just downloading in the corner. There we go, that's done. So now we've got an online project. We've got a license key copied to the clipboard. We've also gone into the target manager and we've uploaded a couple of graphics to create our own very own custom database to use within our own app. The only other thing we need is the actual software. So I want you to scroll to the top and click on the downloads button. And then down the page, you can see this link here at the moment, as mid-September when I'm recording this video. This is the most up-to-date version. Now the Unity package that we have is 0.1, so we know that there's a new one coming out soon, but for now this is the one that we're after. So I want you to click and download this one, agree to the software license, and now we are downloading the Vuforia package. So what I want to do is just minimize that for a second. I'll leave it running in the background, and I want to open Unity. I want you to click on the new tab in the corner, and this will be Hello AR. So create the project, and Unity is just loading up now. Here we go, brand new project. So as usual, by default, we have the main camera and we also have a directional light. The problem with this camera, if I click it and go to the inspector tab, is it has the camera and it has a few other things like an audio listener and things like that, but it doesn't have any augmented reality scripts attached. That means that it will use the environment that's in the scene as the background. And what we actually want to do is use our very own camera on the mobile phone device or the tablet and use the real world as the background to our scene. So to do that effect, what we need to do is import the Vuforia software, and we're going to swap this camera for their very own camera, which has a couple of cool scripts attached to it to create that result. Now there are different ways to import the software inside Unity. Down at the bottom, you can right click, import package and go to custom, or you can go to assets, import new package and go to custom there, which is what I'm going to do. You then just simply navigate across to wherever it was downloaded and double click on the package that we downloaded. What it will do is read the package and show us the contents for us to decide if we want to import everything or exclude anything. Sometimes you see when you're downloading a package, it could interfere with some code that exists already in your game or your app. But for now, we're working on a brand new empty project, so just simply click import. Now, this version of Unity is slightly more up to date than Vuforia, so there we go. Sometimes it asks us if we want to update. Now, we don't need to make a backup because the project's empty, but basically it's saying some of the software is out of sync with the more modern version of Unity. Are you sure you want to use it? It's completely safe and it's fine, so let's just agree to that. Now what this will do is automatically import all the assets, and they should appear in the assets panel down at the bottom. It will also create a folder for Vuforia, which is where we're going to be working next. Here we go. So if I click on Vuforia here, we can see the contents of the assets. And if I show you my sync folder, which is up here, and go down to Unity, this is where I save projects. Hello AR is here, and inside the assets, which is where we're looking, Here's Vuforia, resources and the plugin, and it's basically an exact copy. So you can see how that dynamically loads it into the correct save location that we chose when we created the project. Okay, so let's have a look across these folders. One of the ones that I want to draw your attention to is the prefabs folder. Now, a prefab is a prefabricated game object, so see it as a template that I've created previously. Sorry about that. Now, if we go to the game object at the top and click 3D object and cube, you can see that we've created a cube. Now, if I were to change the colors, add a script that will rotate the cube, and then I wanted to save this to be used in later scenes, I can drag this down into my assets here, and it will become a prefab, effectively a template. If I then open a brand new scene, because I have a template saved in my assets, I can drag that back out onto the hierarchy, and it will maintain all the characteristics of the template. So let's just delete that for a second. And the reason I'm showing you that is because inside the prefabs folder, Vuforia have created a bunch of game objects for us to use as templates. Now, the two that we're going to be looking at are the AR camera and the image target. So this camera here is going to replace our main camera. So if I just click on the camera and then right click and delete, as we don't need it, I'm then going to drag their camera out and place it above the directional light. There we go. Now you can see that the AR camera also has an audio listener, but it doesn't have exactly the same characteristics. What it has is a couple of scripts that are attached from Vuforia's software, and one of them is the actual software, the script that activates the camera on the device and swaps the scene's background for the real world one, which is the effect that we want to use. Now, what I want you to do while the camera is selected, I need you to open up Vuforia's configuration, because if we press play now, it will switch from the scene and activate the game panel. Now, the game panel is what you will see on your mobile phone when the application is actually running. So if I press play now, we have an error message, and it says that we need the API app key. So for the software to run, it needs to know if we're allowed to run it. Are we a developer, or have we paid for a license? So if we go across here, we can open up Vuforia's configuration. And this is where I need you to now right click and paste the API key that we saved to the clipboard earlier. There we go. Now we can leave all the other settings at their default because it will work fine. The only thing I want to draw your attention to at the minute is something called a data set. Now, a data set contains the targets that we're going to be using that the camera needs to look for, and at the moment we don't have any data sets imported into our Unity project. So let's go back to the assets again, and this time I'm going to right click at the bottom and import a new custom package, and this is the database that we created which contains the information for the two pictures. So if I just double click again, you can see Unity showing me the contents. We have the two graphics, and we also have the data file here that the AR camera will understand. So when the camera is activated and it's showing us the real world in the background, it has these two images to scan for, and using the mobile phone camera, it will scan your real world environment for those two images. If it finds the image and the corresponding yellow marker features that we saw earlier on match what it's seeing through the camera, then it will activate the augmented reality experience and display whatever 3D object we've decided to show in that 3D world. So let's import that, go back to the camera and open up the configuration. And now we have a data set which I named AR game. I just need to tick and activate.